Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the Too Old for Forza YouTube channel. Captain Nasty's here, and today I'm going to talk about some cool upgrades, tips, tricks for people with 80/20 rigs. And I'm also going to do a quick review at the end on my particular rig. It's made by 4Play Racing. I'm based here in the United States. That's a United States-based eBay vendor. So we'll cover that. And let me just jump in and talk about a few things I've done to my rig, and then I'll do some potato cam work. Sorry about that. And show you guys kind of the different pieces I'm working with here and how I got it all set up. So the first thing I'd recommend for people on 80/20 rigs is put on some castors or some wheels so you can wheel the thing around. This thing weighs a goddamn ton, even though it's all aluminum. These bars, there's a lot of metal in these. This thing is, you'd not want to try to move this thing around and pick it up and slide it. It'd be all bad. So what I did is I ended up using 3-inch castors with locks on them. It's very important to have locks. And they're kind of rubberized. I'll show you those a little bit later. And those are really great for two reasons. One, of course, make the rig easy to move. Two, they actually dampen some of the vibration from my tactile feedback, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And three, it actually allowed me to place my pedals in a different position, which I'll talk about more in the future. The next really big upgrade that I did was, this sounds crazy, but it's super important, is I actually added a couple different ways to hold, like this will hold a beer perfectly, even in a koozie. It also holds a Mickey's grenade, so when you're picking a cup holder, waltz into the auto parts store with your favorite beer of your choice, crack it open, chug it down, make sure it's going to fit in whatever cup holder you pick. My other kind of thing you can see here, it's another cup holder. It has 2 slots. It holds both my cell phones. Yes, I have 2. No, that's not fun. But it also will hold like a teacup here in the back. So for you gamer muscle fans out there that are sipping on a lot of tea, this has a little slot and it actually holds a teacup really nice. I drink a lot of tea myself, just to try to prevent myself from being a drunk imbecile all the time. The other thing I added was just a little piece of cardboard over on this side. I'll show you that in the future. And what I have in there is the Allen key that you use to adjust the shift tension on the Fanatic shifter. So one thing I've noticed is I like to have a pretty firm feeling shift in my Fanatic shifter, but if I go to use the sequential, then that spring tension prevents the sequential from kicking back to center. So you can adjust that really quickly. It takes literally seconds, and if you have the tool just right on your rig, it's super easy. Lastly, on this rig, it had lots of little L brackets and adapters, so you didn't have to, you couldn't mount the wheel like directly to these bars. I elected to actually modify this chassis, so I didn't use any type of bracketry. I wanted as little hardware thing as possible, as few things to get loose, and this thing is sturdy as shit. The force feedback is much better on an 80/20 rig coming from my playseat. And you might be wondering, why does this jackass have a CSL wheelbase, on a full 80/20 rig? Well, 2 reasons. One, on any wheel it will make your force feedback better. And 2, I am planning on going the direct drive route in the future once things kind of pan out more in that realm. It's still a pretty new technology. I'm just not quite ready to adopt yet. So that being said, I'll show you some of the finer points of this rig. So one of my favorite parts about this rig, you can see the castors here, I'll talk about those in a minute, is I have tactile feedback on here, aka bass shakers. And these add so much to the experience. They're controlled by the force feedback from the game, and they just add so much. You feel road bumps, tire slip, engine RPM, all that shifting, all that good stuff. So you can see I have a plate right here that I mounted this Aurora bass shaker to, and a little bit of rubber here to isolate so there's not, vibration and also noise, and also to try to isolate it to keep the vibrations in the pedal box, which is what I want. For the rear, I want something a little bit more heavy duty. Butt kicker advance, mounted to a big old aluminum plate. And it provides very good feedback, in this mounting configuration. I run these on an iNuke 1000 DSP amp, and I've got another video all about tactile feedback. I'll link that, check that out here, and let's talk some more about the other features of this rig. All right, here you can see an example of those castors I'm talking about. Again, they're 3 inches, and you can see that buys the rig some ground clearance, in addition to making it easier to move. And if you'll notice here, my pedals, see, if this was flat on the ground, I couldn't have mounted that bar right there to get the angle I want on the pedals and have them low enough in relation to the seating position. And this is, a good setup for what I'd call like vintage car or street car driving. If you had a preference to have the pedals up higher, more like an open wheeler, then you wouldn't want to do that. Just really quickly about these cup holders, so you can see, you can just bolt them. I just drilled a hole and bolted it, and you can put, well, that one has to be stuck there, but this one, you know, I can slide it up or down. Again, just a couple bolts to hold it there. It's super solid, not going anywhere. That's the beauty of 80/20, is you can put stuff wherever the hell you want. So this is that cardboard box I was telling you about. Obviously got a Mickey's grenade here. Tooled for Forza is actually sponsored by Mickey's Malt Liquor and Champ's Sweatpants. So check out our sponsors for sure. But this is just that Allen key. I just popped a hole. It sits right there. It works great. You'll see my shifter mount here. Actually, it's from my old rig. I just adapted it here, drilled a couple holes, and then just, you know, goes right on the rig. Exactly how I like it. Now this rig does come with an option where you can have these pedals at an angle using these bars. I don't use those, as you can see, but I left them on to kind of act as some protection, so when I'm moving this thing around, I don't bump the pedals, you know, on the side on anything. And that's about that, guys. Let's go ahead and I'll do some reviewing and some more talking about this thing, and then we'll wrap it up. So those are some tips and tricks that apply to, you know, any 80/20 rig, specifically on 4-play racing. This rig is actually, I believe it's the most affordable 80/20 rig on the market. I elected to go with the high-end version. That's their heavy-duty version, because I am going to have a direct drive wheel in the future for sure. I also went to go with the seat that came with it. The seat slides very nicely. It came with good instructions. The pieces were all labeled. It was very easy to put together, I would definitely say I'd highly recommend this rig. Now, some of the holes where, you know, it's drilled to relieve so you can put in the Allens are a little bit kind of ugly, you know, maybe ugly looking. And that might be a difference between a very high-end 80/20 rig and a, you know, more affordable one. For me, I don't, you know, I'm not having this rig to try to be fancy and show off. I'm all about functionality. It's a very minor critique, and it's really my only critique for this rig. This thing is very good. I definitely recommend 4-play racing. It was shipped quickly. It was packaged appropriately. It was not damaged. You know, the fellow, I believe John, who runs 4-play, emailed me the instructions, and they were, anybody could follow it. It came even with some really nice Allens. Actually, that's one of the cooler things. This thing came, I've got a lot of nice tools. I have a couple, you know, cars in real life, and I've raced motorcycles for a decade. I got some tools. It came with these two Allens that are nice T-handles. I mean, these things are sweet for sure. So that's it. You know, I definitely recommend going 80/20 for sure if you're a, you know, avid sim racer. And you know, this is one of your primary hobbies. I think it's definitely worth the money on any wheel. It just gives you lots of good layout options, and the force feedback's better because the thing is super rigid. So that's about it from this video, guys. Make sure to check us out on tooledforforza.com. We also have a really crazy Facebook page. We do sim racing on Xbox, on Project Cars 2. We have a big Forza 7 contingency on both PC and Xbox that's cross-play compatible. And then we also have a Discord channel on Assetto Corsa as well. Just search for Tooled for Forza and you can come find us and shred it up on the PC. That's it, guys. We'll see you next time.